So I got this bird feeder. It's a bird feeder from a friend of mine who won it at an auction or a raffle. And I don't know who made it, but it's quite the engineering project. It's actually beautiful. Here, let me show you some close-ups. And this is where you would put the bird feed. And then it would come down here and go into this feeder thing. The only problem is it's so big that it can't really hang or anything. It's got to be set down on a porch. And he didn't have the room for that. And I don't have the room either. So I had an idea. Let's convert it. So the first thing I need to do is I need to get this out of here. And I saw that these barrels unscrew. And then we'll take these things off. Hopefully he doesn't have it all glued together. There we go. And it looks like it is glued together. I think I'll cut this right here. Oh, there you go, the dance hall. You know, I was thinking lights. Let's do some lights. So I got these little lights long time ago, and I got a whole bunch of them. And what you do, here, let me show you, is you put 2 of these CR 2032 3-volt batteries in here, and then it's got a spring, and then it's hooked to a circuit board. And then when you close it up and squeeze it real tight, there's some contacts that get made in there, and they turn on. And then it comes with this little remote control, and you can have them flash, smooth, fade, strobe. You can turn the brightness up, you can turn the brightness down. You can have them be red, green, blue, etc., etc., etc. The only thing I don't like about these is the batteries. They last all right, but you always got to get them and turn them off. Otherwise, the batteries will go dead. And I want to make them so they're on all the time. So what I did, or what I'm going to do, I'm going to take these batteries out. And the reason I don't like these is because they're made for underwater or out in the rain. But look at this little seal right here. It's just, they're junk. So I've lost a lot of these from moisture getting in there. And look at all my other ones. These are all the rubbers from all the other ones that are trashed. So if I take this circuit board out of here and cut this little spring off, so we know the center is negative and this outer ring here is positive. So I got me a power supply. So these are 6 volts. So I got me a 5-volt power supply. I figured for LEDs that would be fine. So I got this marked positive and negative. Would you see it come on? So what if I hook this power supply up to all these in series? And that's what I'm going to do. And here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to drill a hole in the bottom of this case. Now I got a little hole right here. And I've got some wire, some old telephone wire. And I'm going to strip the ends. And then I'm going to tin them. Tin them means clean them and put a little solder on them. Okay. So now I got this wire, and I got my center one, which is the negative, and the outer, which is positive. So I'm going to put a little flux out here on this outer ring and give it a little tab right there. A little dabber-dua. So we know the outside is positive, and I got this wire which is color-coded. So I'll put the positive on the outside and solder that into place. And then I'll put the negative on the other side and solder it into place. Okay, and then I can put it back together. Hold on, I gotta get through the hole. There. Okay, so now I take these two ends and I strip those. And then I take my power supply and I'm just going to temporarily connect these right now. I got a knot in here that reminds me that this is positive. So I'll put the positive on the positive and the negative on the negative, and look, it comes on. And I'm going to do that to the rest of these and hook them all together. Okay, I wired them all together. All the positives with the positives and the negatives with the negatives. So we'll take our positive lead and hook it to positive, and our negative to negative. Get a better connection there. I took this piece off here, and I can put all my wiring inside here.